Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vikas Jain LIVE Show. Today, have an amazing guest, Shaheena, with me. And before I share more about Shaheena, let me just welcome you. And as you must be knowing, that in case you have any question during the show, you can type in the comment below, and we'll be taking those questions towards the end with Shaheena. Before handing over the mic to Shaheena, let me just give her quick background. So today, Dewdrop Shaheena, and we will let you know that why she calls herself Dewdrop, create an identity shift and transform your life. As CEO of Meticulous Consultancy, Shaheena helps coaches, entrepreneurs create identity shift and design coaching program to get to monthly $5,000. She is an international life architect, certified leadership emotional intelligence coach, President-PCOMA, and former VP of MAHRP. With that, let me invite Dewdrop Shaheena. Shaheena, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Vikas, for having me. I'm having looking forward to have a very fruitful discussion with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaheena. And as we begin, first let's me understand and let the viewers also understand because they must be curious about Dewdrop. So, what is the reason behind Dewdrop in your name?
Thank you. So this name, the idea of Dewdrop came when I was just 13 or 14 years old. One of the Divehi lecturer or teacher who came and wrote a poem on the board. And he wrote after the poem, the verse of the poem, he wrote MZ and put it in a quotation mark. And I asked curiously from the teacher, what is that MZ? And he says, that's my pen name. And that day I started thinking, okay, I also want to have a pen name. Instead of my name, Shaheena, most of the people will say the name incorrectly as Shaheena or something like that. And I feel that I don't have an identity because people call me Shaheena, and this identity is lost. From a very younger age, I have that feeling. So I thought, okay, I will have this pen name. So since the age of 14 years, I was thinking, what could be that name? But as I grow older and I was thinking about the name, I was asking myself, what could be that one name that reflects me? When somebody says the name, that it should show who I am. People would be eager to know what that name is. And then in 2007, when I registered Facebook, like created my first Facebook account, I was brainstorming, and then finally came up with Dewdrop. And like as the days goes by, I was thinking, what is that meaning behind the Dewdrop? What should be that identity I'm creating? And I realized that I asked myself, what is a dewdrop? And that dewdrop is that droplet of water you would see on a sunny day. Like somebody who wakes up in the morning and who looks for the nature, who goes out and enjoys the nature. It is very pleasing to the eyes, it is soft, it is delicate. And then I thought, okay, this is that identity I would like to leave behind the world. When somebody thinks about Dewdrop Shaheena, the first thing that should come to their mind is like that smile I have on my face. That I was able to have that candle in my hand and like give a like piece of that light from my flame so that I can brighten up their life. They can remember me as somebody who uplifted, motivated, inspired them to be like. Oh, when we look at people these days, people are so depressed, going through several challenges. Whatever the challenges they are, if they have crossed my path, I would like to ignite that flame in them. And that's what Dewdrop is all about.
Wow, such an amazing description and reason behind having the name Dewdrop in your name. And as you talked about that with Dewdrop, we should think of something soft, something peaceful. But as we talked earlier, I think your life has different direction. Your life had totally different direction. So would you like to share and talk about your life journey with our viewers?
Yes, thank you. So, as most of the Maldivian girls, after finishing my O level, I came to Male, the central capital city, to do my A level. But unfortunately, due to a de-report in my English language, I was not able to enroll in the high school, and then I was rejected. Basically, there was this second opportunity that came because they were selecting students for the second round. But then the school principal said, okay, I have rejected this form once. So that means there is no way that I am going to accept this form. And although there was this chance where the students got enrolled in the second time, still I was rejected because my parents were like trying to get the enrollment for me. And then like I lost my because I wanted, by the time I finished my O level studies, I wanted to become a chartered accountant. I had that very clear in my mind. Even before that, when I finished grade 7, I wanted to be a scientist and I wanted to study science stream. But then the school, because of a C report in English language, again, when I promoted from grade 7 to grade 8, because of a C report in English, while I has 99 in mathematics, 95 in general science, and 94 in social studies, because of this C report, my destiny was stamped. The school management says if the student is weak in English, she couldn't do science, and then I was forced to study business stream. And because of that, I was the best all round student when I finished my primary education. But by the time I finished my secondary education, I became an average student because somebody sealed my destiny with that I have to do business studies. But because I had a very kind and understanding economics and account teachers, I got motivated into becoming a chartered accountant. And then with good hopes and a future dream to become a chartered accountant, I traveled to Mali. And then again, because of this day report in English language, I was rejected from the higher secondary education. And eventually, I started working at the Bank of Maldives, where I worked 2 years in Ministry of Finance. And then going into the private sector, I started working. But along the journey, I also got married. And when I got married, what happened was I got married to a person who was physically, mentally, and sexually abusive. And for like almost 7 to 8 years, I was being like weekly, daily beaten up by this person I loved and who loved me, and father of my two kids, and he was beating me. But I thought, this is my destiny. I don't have any other choice. I should be living in this life because I don't have anywhere to go, or I don't have like anyone to look up for help. I thought this is the way I should be living. But during that time in 2008, I was doing a diploma in accounting, and we had to do an ethics assignment where I came across the book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, this book. So while I was reading through the book, the chapters, almost like around the second or third chapter, there was this concept: take 100% responsibility for whatever that happens in your life. And then I was asking myself, I have been beaten by my husband. I'm in this miserable life. How can I take 100% responsibility for that? And then, as I reflected, I went deep into this thought and the example given in the book. I realized, oh my God, it was me who made the decision to get married to him. It was my decision to stay with him, although like he was beating me. It was my decision to have the first kid, the second kid. I had the choice every day, like to move out. And then that day on 2008, I decided, okay, this is it. I'm not going to live. And the moment told him that I can't live this life anymore, and I finally have this realization that I can't survive it. And he said that there's the door that you came in, you can go, but you will never see the kids. And that like put into misery, migraine, and like ending up in hospital beds. But I thought, I am not going to leave my kids. I will, like, even if he kills me, I would be living here until I can move out with my kids. And eventually what I started then was I started praying. So I thought this is the only tool or weapon that I have to survive, to live with my kids. So I started praying and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide me so that I can live with my kids. And during that time, because I was going through severe migraine and depression episodes, I didn't know what to do. But then again, I came across this second book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. As I was going through the book, he introduced this important concept. It's called, whenever you are having a problem, don't think about the problem, but start listing down the solutions you can think of. And I started listing, as he guided, I listed 5 solutions. And he said, from those solutions, what is that worst scenario that you don't want to do, but you know that if you do it, you will be able to overcome this challenge? And then I was going through it one by one, and finally I realized the only choice if I want to escape from this situation is I have to travel back to my mother. This is something that I feel it's a nightmare to move back to my mother. But then this is my worst case scenario and I have to accept it. And because I accepted it, it became easier for me to believe that, okay, at the end of this year, I will be moving. And with this thought, I kept on praying. And praying doesn't mean it's like just one moment or like a 5-minute prayer. But I would spend like hours and hours on my prayer mat, and I will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because I want to live with my kids. And finally, I was able to move, but by the time I moved, I had 2 broken vertebrae as well. With 2 broken vertebrae, I moved to my home island, and after a month, the kid's dad said that if you are going to stay here, there'll be no financial assistance for the kids. Now you can imagine myself with 2 broken vertebrae, unable to sit down, lie down, holding 2 kids, and then there is not a single penny in my account to feed the kids. But I made a conscious decision that I was able to move out with these kids because I kept on asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide me. And He guided me. So He will show us a way that we can have I can feed the kids. And Alhamdulillah, I was able to raise my kids happily. Now my eldest son is 21 years. He is a diving instructor working in a safari ship, and my younger son is in Malaysia, about to start his university. So that prayers, that consistent belief, that action, and the ability to believe in what I that hold on to that dream, I was able to move out.
Okay, that's so painful journey, I must say, but the way you sailed out through it, kudos to you. With such an amazing trust in yourself and trust in prayers that you did so many things. Uh, you talked about that those 2 books change your life. Now, in
Mm.
today's typical scenario, sometimes people will say that there is no relevance for books these days. Sometimes I strongly believe in relevance of books, but sometimes people say that. But listening to your story, that's a testimony that are still relevant and books can transform life. It's not just a live workshop and programs that changes life. Books are still having that potential to change life. So who recommended you those books? Like how those book came into your hand?
As I said, the first book, that was the ethics book. I was trying to do my ethics assignment, and
Yeah.
while going through the library. So basically, like people say that when the right time comes, something falls off the from somewhere, and that book peeped through the library window. And from a very young age, I was a reader. So I had this interest, and I had the enrollment into the National Library. And I think I came across the second book because I was just taking my kids even very young age. My son started reading at the age of 2.5, and by the age 5 years, he has read almost all the children's books. So I was like somebody who believed in reading and who believed in having that good foundation for my kids. And then even not only those 2 books, I would say I would give credit to this another book, that is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. No, sorry, the principles, success principles by Jack Canfield, how to go from where you are to where you want to be. So by the time I was like with this back pain and I was unable to do any work, and it was a book given by, I think, my kid's dad, while I was with him. So as I was lying down on the bed, I read the book from cover to cover. That different thing that time with this book was because it was like with activities, a book with activities. So because I didn't have anything to do, as I read the book, I concentrated on each and every activity. And together that time I was reading a book by Brian Tracy called Maximum Achievement. A friend shared this book, so I was reading these two books simultaneously. And you know what, by the time I finished these two books, like it was, my life was planned, written in front of me for me. I had this goal where what would I be doing on my 65th birthday. So if somebody is saying that books are not relevant, I can't say, I can't agree on it.
That's so interesting. As I also I had a similar experience where I went to an institution, delivered my talk, and shared my book with the head of the department. And while I came back in the evening, I the head of the department gave that book to her son, and he wrote all the answers. So there was a workbook in towards the end, and he wrote all the answer. Then she shared the screenshot of that those things with me. So it was an amazing thing. And also, that's again a testimony that when people say that reading books, I think there are various versions of reading book, as I sometimes call in my workshop, that uh, reading a recipe of pizza or some dish is one thing, but after reading cooking that pizza is a different thing. So what you did is actually not just reading the book, you actually took the action, like whatever was required, you were writing and created your workbook, and also implemented those things into your life. So that's a again, very interesting thing. Sir, what was your journey further, like how you transform into a coach, how those things happened?
Well, because I read this book, these two books, like The Success Principles and Maximum Achievement, I realized this one concept. In the Maximum Achievement, he talks about law of attraction, law of cause and effect, and these laws basically. So, what Brent Tracy was saying was that whatever you put in will come out. So he was bringing out this analogy: if you sow the seeds, it will, like, a plant will come out. And also because I was in that low situation, the rock bottom of my life, where I had no choice but I had to stand up and feed my kids, I made that conscious decision again that my kids will not go hungry like the moment I stand up from here. So I made that decision that I want to have my own business. But like after 4 or 5 months of being on bed rest, I was able to start working. And when I started working, what happened was, like, I'm leaving two kids. These kids were like 5 years and 7 years. I'm leaving them behind, and then I'm going to an organization and working. I started noticing this, like, changes in their behavior, because earlier I was living with them alone in our apartment, but now I'm living with my parents, like, and my sisters and everyone. So I started noticing these behaviors, and I realized that no, I don't want to leave my kids at home yet and be in a job, but I wanted to like create something so that I can stay at home and I can work. And by that time I also got married. So we were discussing, I was discussing with my husband, and then finally I agreed I will open a tuition center. Because when I was in Male, the capital city, what happened was all the resources were there. My young elder son, at the age of 6 years, he completed the Cambridge Young Learners Assessment, and he was like a gold star. And then when we are in the island, there was no option, it's just the school. So I was desperate, like living 12 years in Male and then suddenly going and locating myself in a remote island where there are no options. So this
Yeah.
idea of like tuition center came because I wanted to help my kids. But then I was thinking, no, I don't want to help only my kids, but I want to help the community. And then this idea of tuition center came, and what I did was I invested in a Sri Lankan English teacher. I brought her. We opened a tuition center where we had four classes, 4 classrooms, and then we also franchise with UCMAS Malaysia. There is a Maldivian company, so I bought the franchising agreement, and then we started doing the UCMAS and the tuition center. And with that, I realized that okay, I wanted to help my kids, but I was helping the entire community as well. Then the other challenge that came was as a parent. Now again, I have to reiterate this point again and again. When you live in the capital city, you are confined to that 4 walls. But then when you are in the island, like your grandma's house is next door and that friend's house is the next door, so usually kids will try to go out to visit this house and this house. But what I felt was this environment, the environment where my home island, it's not very like it's very not a what would I say, not a good environment that I want to raise my kids because of certain challenges that we were having. And then I was asking myself, now I'm having two choices here. I can lock my children inside their room, or I can send them out. But I want to send my kids out because I don't want to confine them inside the 4 walls. And I kept on asking this question: how can I help my kids? And then what I realized was, okay, if I want to help my kids, I should be helping all the kids in the society of my son's age. That's where the PCOMA, the Professional Coaching and Mentoring Association, came in. So I registered this NGO. Earlier, it was called the Career Vitamin Society. I named it as Career Vitamin Society because I thought, okay, for the youngsters to have a career pathway, this is where we will be coming from. And I named the. So I registered this NGO and I tried to, like, I applied for several projects. I went to all the business institutes and asked that, okay, for the youngsters, because my 2 boys were there, okay, so can we start a football pool for these kids? And I was asking this store, like from each and every entrepreneur in the island, but nobody was willing to give anything. But even like a football ball or a cone, nobody was willing. But there was this one coach who wanted to help, and finally I kept on working entrepreneur to entrepreneur, and a very generous entrepreneur called Happy Market. This is a large organization from our island, and he invested around 50K to this project. But unfortunately, because of selfish acts from other people, we were not able to successfully implement this project. But still, this person, they are very generous, and I am very grateful for what he did. Although we couldn't run the project, he was that kind and generous enough to contribute that 50K. It's like almost $4,000. So it's a huge amount in terms of like. And so although we couldn't run this one, I was still trying and trying. And because I read these 2 books, the Brian Tracy's book and Jack Canfield's book, both of them has described them as coaches. So I was like, I wrote 100 goals for me. And in this 100 goals, I wrote it like I'm a certified chartered accountant. Also, I am a certified coach. So these coach, all the like within the 100 list, it was there. Like I wanted to have a creativity school where all the youngsters and where all the elderly people can spend time. And these are the kind of fantastic ideas that I was having. And along the way, in 2011, I did a life skills trainer course as well. So it was a 15 days intensive program where I completed the training. And then the trainer said, after going to Male, she would be sending the certificate to us. But up to today, I never received this certificate. And what happened was, without this certificate, I still have the contract they gave me that I can work in the island. But because I didn't have the certificate, I approached to one school requested to conduct a life skills training class. And then the principal told me that, Shaheena, you don't have a certificate. We have teachers who are certified life skills trainers, and we can't give this opportunity to you. I approached the second school, and then again, from the same response came: we have certified life skills trainers in school, and since you don't have a certificate, we will be unable to provide this opportunity. So I thought, okay, until I get this certificate, I'm not going to approach anybody, but I will try to do whatever it takes to do. And then I have this another belief that because I hit my rock bottom, I realized that the only thing that somebody can't take away from me is my education and my skills. So I
Yeah.
wanted to study. I wanted to become a graduate, and I had this dream to become a graduate. And you know what? I asked my then husband, I wanted to study. This is like the conversation was around 2012. I said, I
And you're
wanted
talking
to
about
study.
your second marriage here, right?
Yes, I'm talking about my second marriage here. So I asked my husband, I want to study. And my husband said, he's okay for me to work. He's okay for me to do anything else, but you should study only when your younger son finishes his O level. Now my younger son will finish his O level in that case in 2021. That's when my younger son will finish his O level. So my husband was putting up this what would
Criteria.
say yeah that this reality that this is when you should be studying. But the more I thought about, the more I realized the importance of for me to study, because I want to show that example to my kids that you should be studying, that if you study, this is the only thing. Like somebody can take away your kids, somebody can take away all the money in your account, but if you have that skill, if you had that education with you, nobody can take it away. So then I was constantly fighting, it became an argument, a philosophical level argument. I wanted to study, and he's saying I shouldn't be studying. But anyhow, I wanted to study so badly that in 2014, I thought, okay, let me study at home so that I don't have to go anywhere. Let me
Okay.
study at home. And I enrolled in the London School of Business Finance, where they had this distance program where I can graduate with an SEC. I started this program, and I had done the diploma in accounting already. So I started with this program. And I decided by that time, with the printing shop, I was also with the tuition center, I was also operating a printing establishment. So with the help of my second husband's family, we were able to put up a printing establishment, and we were doing really good. And I decided that every day for 1 hour, I will allocate for my studies. I'm sitting at home, I'm doing the work, and I will allocate 1 hour. But you know what happened? If I spend this 1 hour, it was a problem. Like I became an disobedient wife because I'm spending that 1 hour. My husband was working on the sea. So whenever he called during the night and asked me, Shahina, what are you doing? Or what did you do today? I would say that, okay, if I was studying, I would say I'm studying.
Yeah.
And then he would immediately outright blame me that you are disobedient wife, you have not been listening to me, and you are not this conversation went on. And this conversation actually, it led me into constant migraine attacks, and I know that I'm going into depressive state day by day, because I want to study. I'm studying 1 hour at home, I'm studying, working and doing everything. But if he can't appreciate me and then create these small problems, at the end of the day, there's no satisfaction, isn't it? So with this one
Yes.
in 2014, finally I decided to become to qualify for the ACCA chartered accountancy title. I had to have 3 years working experience as well. Only the certificate is not enough. So now I'm doing the ACCA examination, and I wanted to work in a professional organization. So during that time, I kept on praying. So the one factor that has helped me through all this journey was my prayers. I would say that. Of course, I was working grinding. I was grinding, but this prayers was that thing that drove me, that transformed me. So I was praying and praying and praying and asking. Whenever I felt desperate, I would go onto the prayer mat and I will pray, pray, pray. And I got this opportunity to work at Hitaduport Limited as finance manager. And after much discussion, he agreed that I can go to the job. So now the challenge was, I have these two kids. I think my younger son was 9 years, elder son was 11 years by then. And I have to leave behind these two kids and go to a job. What I did was, I brought these two kids, and I told them, look, this is the situation that I am in. You have experience with me, like the whatever with your dad, and now this is the situation that is going on. This is what I'm going through, and I want your help for me to go and work in a job. So basically from 7:30 to 3:30 every day I will be away, but I will come home during lunch break. I will drop you to school and bring you to school. And even though like for work, I had to travel around 25 minutes, like by car, if I go, it was 25 minutes journey to one side. So by coming, it was like almost 1 hour if I have to travel. But I said, I
Yeah.
will commit to this. So, and I talked to the kids and I said, like, I was helping you both all these days, and for me to work, I need your support. Will you be able to support me? To support me means like when I'm away, both of you should follow your timetables. Like we created timetables. When it's 1:30, that means 1:30 you should study. You should sit down and study. And we created this, and they said we agree that mom, you can go for the job. So I left behind these two kids, locked them inside, and I went for job every day. And like every day, I kept on. I was struggling, but eventually, like I felt that mental health was declining because my husband, he is very supportive. He's very encouraging. He's very caring. But when it comes to my studies, he couldn't accept. So it was like this negative thing. Every other night, I would be scolded, I would be blamed, and these things we were struggling. And but I held on to that reminder. In 2017 I started with a master's degree, and when I started master's degree, I took a break from the SECS studies. By the time I had 5 papers left, so I took a break from SECS studies, and I thought I will first complete the masters, and then later I can focus on completing, because it's the professional papers on SEC. I thought I would do that. And so I was working. So now when I started the full-time job, what happened was, earlier I was working around 10 to 12 hours per day, but it became like 18 to 20 hours work per day, because like I wake up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. I would cook, and then I would send the child to school. I would go to office at 7:30, come back at like 12 o'clock, drop the other one to school. I would go to office again, come back by 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then I will be with them for a while, and then I will sit in the printing shop. So I stopped my tuition center by then, and I will sit in the printing shop. And then to cater for because I had to leave the shop to an assistant, I had to cater for it. So from 6:30 or 7 o'clock until some nights at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I would be working with the designs. Because this design, I can give a design, I can ask them to design. But now let me like a little highlight a little bit. Now, if I have to create a form for a hospital,
Okay.
I have to like go through, proofread like one by one letter. I have to check each and everything. So I am sure that this form doesn't have a mistake. And you can identify the amount of work, like the backlog,
I can see that.
the clerical work, isn't it?
Yeah.
The clerical work I had to
Yes.
do. So basically, I was grinding like that every night up until 1 or 2 o'clock, and I sleep, and then again I would go 5:30, wake up, and this, and I went into this like a depressive state where I started migraine attacks so bad that. There was this one point in 2015. I thought, okay, my brain is about to burst out from my head. So it went so badly, and then I was taken to India, and then doctor did several investigations. I thought I had a severe disease, like a disease going on. But then, alhamdulillah, doctor said that you are into so much stress, and he gave me some medication. So what happens with the medication was, when I took the medication, I will be sleeping most of the time. Now I have a full-time job. I have this work I have to do. So even at office, I would even put a timer on my phone, and I will sit on the toilet seat to get that 15 minutes sleep, so that I can come out and I can do the work. And I was struggling like this up until 2017. I was operating the print shop, and then finally we moved back to Male. And that's where it was a storm for my life. But in 2018, I also finished my master's degree. So by the time I graduated, I was asking myself, I had this realization, being an accountant, the higher I go up on the ladder, I'm digging somebody's shit. That's what I felt, because like you have to, because I was into auditing, and because you are into auditing, you have to go and dig, like there are corruptive things done in the corporations, and we have to go and so I realized that.
I'm sure people who are from finance or accounting background would not like this statement, but I understand it's your observation, your personal experience and opinion.
So like everybody agrees to this statement. This is not a statement I'm saying here. This is a statement I tell everyone, and everybody agrees on it. But then some people to take the positive side of it, where they say that okay, even if we have to dig that, it we are helping them to align their principles and like living with values. So I felt that okay, for me, becoming an accountant or being an accountant is not adding value to my life. And I kept on like focusing on the initial goals which I have written in 2010 and 11. I was working on this, like going through these goals, and I realized okay, this certified coach, this is coming again and again. So after the finishing my master's degree, I realized okay, enough is enough. Accountant field is enough, and I went into a corporate training manager at Villa College, and I started. I thought, then I got the opportunity to do like certified professional coach from Team Coach International Malaysia, and I think late 2018 I started with this one. 2019 I got the first certificate, and what happened was I got the certificate, but I didn't know how to like sell my coaching skill. So I was telling people I'm a coach, and then people were mocking me. Are you a football coach? Are you a basketball coach? People kept on mocking me because this coaching industry is very new to Maldives. I wrote the goal back in 2010. Can you imagine to become a coach? And now in 2019, when I come and get certified and come and tell people that I'm a coach, people kept like mocking me. Are you a football coach and are you a basketball coach? I realized that I might have done the wrong certificate. Maybe because of that, I am not getting attracting clients, or maybe I don't know how to sell. And with this thought, I again got enrolled into the Marshall Goldsmith executive coaching. So I became a certified executive coach, certified team coach from that. And
Okay.
as I wanted to practice, COVID hit. So like 2019 I left my job because of like the turmoil that I was going through in my life at home. I left my job and I wanted to establish myself as a coach. Now 2020, at the beginning of 2020, I had to move out. I know that I'm going through the second divorce. I have to move out, and I am jobless.
So you
And
had,
like
if just to say, you had the first experience, first marriage experience where you were bitten, that physical assault was there, and during the second, you had to, because you were so committed about your journey, your education, your skill.
mm,
So then there was a difference of philosophical opinion, that whether
yes,
to just surrender yourself to the family or build a own brand and build your own name, and you
yes,
chosen the second path, that I need my own
yes,
identity, I need to do something different. And the second divorce happened. Okay, so what happened
it's
further? And while people who are listening and watching the show, I'm sure there are many, and as it is live stream, so people are going to watch it in future. So when you are listening to this talk, do type in the chat box below what comes to your mind while you are listening to this amazing journey of Shahina, that what she went through, how she put in the force within herself to manage all that situation. Do type in that one word that comes to your mind while listening to her talk in the comment box below, and don't forget to subscribe our channel so that you keep getting more and more interesting talk like that. Yeah, Shaina, so what happened afterwards?
So basically, I wouldn't say that it was like my decision to move out, because I wanted to study. That my husband couldn't accept me. So even like after he sent me off, I was even begging, like I want to live with him. But by that time, because we couldn't align the philosophical, like he was kind, he was understanding, he was everything. but because we couldn't align these philosophical values,
Yeah.
we know that we don't have a pathway ahead. And then because of this thing, actually it became a problem with kids, and all these extra problems came up with it. And finally I had to move out. Now when I moved out, I was 18 months out of job. It was during the middle of the pandemic, and and again, because I invested myself in the certified professional coach and also the certified executive coach, in which was expensive programs, what happened was I am almost all of my savings were exhausted as well. So without nothing in my bank account, the second time this happened. And during this time again, I had no other resources other than the prayer mat. I would say that other than the prayer mat and my the vision that I can see myself on my 65th birthday. This is where I want to go, and without with only those things, two things were with me: the prayer mat and this vision I want to do. So I had this vision, and then I set a target for myself. As I moved out, I set a target for myself as a woman. Like, one of my values is I don't want to live a single life, like to be unmarried and to live. So I made a decision, because as a Muslim woman, I have to stay for 3-month period after a divorce, and then only I can get married. So I made a decision. By the 91st day, whoever asked me to get married, I'm going to get married. So I made a very bold decision for myself, and then I kept on praying and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show me a way. And Alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful. I met my current husband. Now it's going to be 3 years since we first met. I met him, and within 2 months we got married. And then he was this guy. The reason I got married to him was because now you see that with my second husband, everything was good. Everything was good. The only thing that lacked was this philosophical matching. Like, he couldn't say that, Shaheena, you should study. Shaheena, you can do whatever you want to do. Like, when I wanted to become a coach, I think the one person that who criticized me most was my second husband, because coaching is something new. I'm not earning any money. And then but then this person, when I met him, he said, as a woman, you should study. As a woman, if you have a dream, you should follow the dream. And this is the reason I agreed to marry him. And Alhamdulillah, he has helped me become. Some days, I think during 2020, 2021, 22, I worked almost like 16 to 18 hours a day, because I was the HR manager of Villa College. 2 years I worked in the organization, and with the organization, by the time I reach home, I'll I will be rushing to cook. If I can't cook, he will help me to buy something, and then I will sit on my desk, and I would be either studying or I would be conducting a session. Like, I would be on either. So I studied. I did the John Maxwell certification program. I did the certified facilitation program. Did the emotional intelligence. I did the mental fitness. I did the, you name it. I've been doing it, and it's an ongoing process. Currently, also I'm studying at Stanford Seed, and also I'm trying to become a black belt in mental fitness. So this ongoing journey, it's an ongoing journey. And Alhamdulillah, what I would say is, currently I have 20 students studying with me to become a certified coach. So I would
That's
say that
amazing.
I was the person who pioneered the coaching industry in the Maldives and revolutionized the thinking that people have. Like, we can't sell coaching in the Maldives. No, we can sell. We can do it.
Okay, that's such an inspiring story, Shaina, that what you went through and how you managed all these things. Now, one of the thing that is coming to my mind right now, that what is your message to the other women who might be going through similar hardship, probably the kind of things that you saw in your first phase, where they are beaten or assaulted. That's first. Or the second kind of, where they want to pursue their dreams but somehow not allowed to do that. So what's your message to those women?
I would say, like, the first thing, now this is where the creating an identity shift comes. So you have to understand who you are, like where do you want to go? That understanding, where do I want to be on my 65th birthday? A very clear vision of my 65th birthday. And not only that vision, I was able to write 100 goals, like 33 things I want to do, 33 things I want to have, 33 things I want to be. And I was able to very clearly articulate these things. Like I had a clear map. Now, let's say tonight I am being abused, tonight I am being like totally, I'm crying and I'm miserable. But the next day, when I wake up in the morning, I have all these things going for me. So, what I would say is like if somebody is in a miserable situation, the first step is ask yourself, who do you want to be in the future? Look at your 65th birthday and look back. What is that life you want to live? What are the values that you want to have in your life? What are the things that you want to do in your life? And with that, if they start, and the prayers is that I would like highly recommend prayer, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that he created men in distress. That is the first message. The second message is ask and I will be giving, like I will be accepting your prayers. And then there is a, if with every challenge there is ease. So these are the words from our Holy Quran, and this is what I teach today. I have like 14,000 people who are following me, and I am passing daily, I'm passing this message to my audience, saying that like you might be, whatever situation you might be in today, doesn't matter. Trust him. He is the one person who can show you a path.
That's amazing. Trust on your the prayers, and while you trust on prayers, don't just get into an inaction mode. Keep taking action the way you
Yes,
kept taking action in your life.
yes, exactly.
Okay, and now I would like to ask, because we are you must be very busy, and we are coming towards the closure of this event, and it's a message to the viewers. Like while you're watching this show, or people who are going to watch this show in the future, if you have any question, type in the chat box, and we'll try that we can get them answered by Shahina. Now, you talk about that you help coaches to build a coaching business which is around $5,000. So how it is done? Like how people who are, or especially women who want to create a stream of income, how they can start with? What are the step one, step two, step three for that?
Okay. So I created this program called Dewdrop Leadership Certified Coach. So it's a 6 months coaching certification program where we do intensive training. It's not just a coaching certification, but like our unique selling proposition is we do the intensive work. Like for public speaking, I believe that one reason why I failed when I got my first certification, second certification, was because I didn't know how to sell. And then I thought I didn't have the saliency. But later, as I studied more and I attended more programs, what I realized is public speaking is that like differentiator from where you are to where you want to be. Public speaking will make
Yes.
the difference. So in our program, we teach the coaching skills, we teach the public speaking skills, we teach the branding skills, we teach also the emotional intelligence, and we ask our students to read extensively. So they have to read certain books where they learn the how the brain works, the subconscious mind works, and how these
Okay.
law of attraction and these things work. And by the end of the first 6 months, they will have a coaching certificate. But that's not the end. What we are doing is we will try to hold their hands so they can create a coaching program themselves, and they can serve their community. So
Okay.
we call
That's
this
more important.
second part.
Yes.
Yeah, the second part of the program we call the mindpreneur. That's the where the my LinkedIn name comes, the Shahina the mindpreneur. So
Okay.
it
That's
basically
so.
it means like with the power of your own mind, you have that ability to create the business, that like lifestyle that you want to build.
Okay, that's interesting. And as you mentioned earlier, that one can create, or you created that part, that what's going to be what you have or will be having at the age of 65. Do you want to give some example while you coached other? Because it's easier to set that down, right? it seems easy that one can just think, but thinking in the future. So can you give any example, probably from your personal experience or people you coached, that what is the typical transformation that starts happening, that what they start thinking and how things start changing?
Okay, so basically the idea is I ask people just to sit. Let's
Yeah,
just do. You can be my client here. So I
sure.
just want you to close your eyes and then like now you are 65 or 70 years. That is the age you are. So like probably you don't have any work, and then you will be just like sitting there. Most of the time you will
Yes.
be without any work. So as you sit down and you close and think about your life, like you can look back into your life and you can ask certain questions, like what is my kids relationship with me? That's the first, like the most important thing that I would want everyone to reflect on. How is my kids treating me today? Then you go back and ask yourself, did I treat my kids well? Did I look after my kids well? What were the values that I was teaching to them? So like basically you are trying to think about the way you raise your kids, the way you lived your life. So we establish the values from these statements, the way you lived your life, what people will be saying about you, and from this example, that's how we are
Okay.
started. And then I ask the question, if the world is like a peaceful place without any trouble, what would the world look like today? So most people will say that there is no fighting. Some people will say there is a lot of music and everyone would be entertaining. And like people will come up with this statement. The next question I ask is, what is that one skill you have or you are interested that will help you have this like problem-free world? And some people will say, I'm an artist, I will like draw. Some people will say, I'm a writer, I will write. And other people will say, like people like me, they would say, I will inspire, I will like coach other people. So with these statements, what we do is we will like help them come up with their vision statement. So with that vision statement, like this is their starting place. And then they will go deep into the exercise where they will think about all the values. What would their teacher tell about them? Like if they died, and like in a Muslim community, we don't do the eulogies, but like in a Western community, like when a person dies, people come and talk about them. So let's imagine that it's
Yes.
on your deathbed and everybody is talking about you. What are the things that people will be talking about you? And then I ask them, okay, now are they talking the right thing about you, the thing that you want them to tell? So some people will say, no, I want my kids to tell that I am a very good mom. So then I asked the person, okay, why is your child not saying that you are a good mom? So I will try to connect these two situations, and I will help the person pinpoint the exact problem the person has today. And that's where the transformation starts happening, because they can connect their 65th birthday and today and identify what is that problem. Because when we think about the transformation, always we should remember that the first thing is that we all have limiting beliefs. The second thing is like we all are human, we will make mistakes, and the more we think and reflect, go inside and ask, who am I, what I should be doing, where should I be going, what are my principles? If we ask these questions, what am I doing wrong? If we ask these questions, then like you can come up this awareness, that realization. And always, if the transformation, there's this beautiful quote by Jim Quick. He says, if an egg is broken from the outside, like you make the omelette, but if the egg is broken from inside, what happens? It's a life. So
Yes.
this is how the transformation should come up.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think by just listening to this, most of our viewers must have got really good insights that how they can also begin the shift in their life. how they can create that identity shift that you have created in your life and planning to create in others' life as well. So thanks, Shaheena, for being on the show. In case you have any last message to the viewers, you can go ahead and share that message with us.
Well, my final message is I would say whatever the challenge you are that going through at this moment, you might be going through any trouble, any challenge, any suicidal thought, whatever that you have today, this is the exact moment that you can change, transform your life. So start, the first thing is start with a smile and gratitude. Smile yourself, have a big smile on your face even though you're crying, because the moment you start smiling, your hormones will start, like the all the nerves will start connecting for you. You'll feel that gratitude. Sometimes smiling and gratitude is not about the being positive, being happy, but it's like being grateful for all the small little things that you have. Think about your ability to see, your ability to breathe, your ability to talk. And when you start reflecting, focusing on these gratitude factors, like gratitude activities, tomorrow you will have more things to be grateful. And then the next day you will have more things. And that's where the abundance, like you eliminate yourself slowly with gratitude from the scarcity and you get into the abundance mindset. So I have this flame for all of you. Get a blink of light up from it, sparkle, and then light up your life. Thank you.
Wow, amazing, Shahina. That's such an amazing closing thought. I'm sure it must have ignited so many other lights and going to ignite more in the future. Thanks again, Shahina. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a great opportunity for me, and I am very appreciative, very grateful for the service you are doing to the community, to the world, and the amazing contribution. So, thank you. Very grateful for this.
Thank you, Shaina. So with that, you thanks viewers for watching this show. I'm sure you must have got really good insights. Whatever one word that comes to your mind while watching this show, do type in the comment box below. And this is going to stay forever. And you can share this tech talk with the others as well, so that people can inspire with this talk, Vikas Jain live show, and help others also ignite that thought process. With that thought in mind, do connect us for the future program and the future session. See ya. Bye bye.